What's going on between Turkey and ISIL? And is Ankara planning military action in Syria? Turkish military troop commanders stationed along the Syrian border have been summoned to Ankara for a meeting to discuss possible military intervention in their crisis-hit neighbour. At the same time, Turkey's involvement with ISIL has also been in the spotlight. In July 2015, Turkey increased its military presence on its border regions with Syria. Tanks, anti-aircraft missiles, and around 54,000 ground troops now line that increasingly tense boundary. This military build-up has caused many to speculate that Turkey is planning military action to stop the advance of Kurdish forces battling ISIL in the region. Turkey has been a key supporter of the militancy against Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. What is Turkey's actual relationship with ISIL? Do the Turkish public trust their leaders' policies towards these militants? And what is the Turkish government's true objective in terms of Syria? These are the simple questions we sought to answer. And we began with this pressing question. Turkey is considering military intervention in Syria. Would you support this, and why? That's the question we put to the public in Turkey.
Not only intervention, I am also opposed to military investments.
I absolutely do not support that. Every war is bad. Absolutely nothing will come out positive. They are people like us. I pray to Allah that nobody lives in a country that has a war.
Definitely, I do not support that. It could be a disaster for Turkey. We should not intervene in any way.
Personally, I think that all problems can be solved without blood and war. We must not fight if possible. War is not useful to us.
Certainly, I do not support that. The Middle East should not decide which way to go. What can we do to them? One day someone takes it to one direction, another day someone else to a different direction.
I do not support it. They want to drag Turkey into the abyss. I see that as an excuse for that. I think they want to harm Turkey with the play of foreign powers.
I don't support that. We should not interfere in Syria's own business. If we go to war, the reason should be to defend ourselves. Except that, it will be a pointless adventure.
I do not support it. We say no to war. We are relatives, the children of brothers. The price of humans' blood that died in the war cannot be paid.
I do not support that if it is against Syria. I do not support anything against our Muslim brothers in Syria. Their health, well-being is important for us.
I'm against this idea, basically. Turkey and Syria are neighbouring countries. They should live in peace. War is never good for mankind. People die in war. I'm against this in principle. I can say that I am not supporting that.
No, we should not interfere in Syria's own business.
I support it because ISIS and YPG are fighting. It's dangerous for Turkey. ISIS could attack Turkey in the future. That's why I support it.
Those were the views of the Turkish public. We asked our experts for their view on the prospect of military intervention by Turkey in Syria.
My own opinion is that it's very, very hard for them to implement it. They do not have international support, and crucially, they do not have the NATO support for this idea. Although I have to say that this is against the will and advice of the Turkish army, which has been dragging its foot about it because it will consider it to be a major undertaking that is fraught with difficulties and risks.
Turkish military intervention in Syria only has one aim, and that is to expound Turkish hegemony over Syria and intervene militarily, politically and economically for the benefit of Turkey as a state and the complete ideology which Erdogan advocates within the region. This comes as a greater Middle Eastern policy which he has had, which he views Syria as a valuable country within the region, as an outlet to the Arab world, and he has used this banner of using humanitarianism within the Syria crisis to perpetuate his policies, and military intervention in some way or form would be the culmination of numerous policies which Erdogan and the Turkish government have advocated over the previous 5 years.
What is Turkey's relationship with ISIL? We asked the public in Turkey.
I didn't know that people are talking about the support, but it is not definite.
I can't guess. ISIS is a terrorist organization. They're killing people without distinction of religion or sect. It's an organization engaged in persecution, a problem of the world like other terrorist organizations.
There are various opinions in the media. The media is looking for its own political thinking. There is some news that ISIL can use Turkey's provinces easily, but this could be manipulative. I can't say that they are true or false because the press could be biased. They might be government secrets. Carrying out the idea is not healthy unless you live in the region.
From what I understand, the PKK and BDP asked for many things from Turkish government. Turkey gave into their demands. Then they continued to ask for more from Turkey. Turkey wanted them to stop, but they did not. Turkey said, "That's enough," and told the organization, "I believe it is a terrorist organization with the support of foreign powers."
Nobody can be completely sure about this, but there should be some beneficial relations. All of these things are the results of the strategic games of the world's biggest countries. Absolutely, there must be some beneficial relations.
There are too many ideas about that. I don't think so, but Turkey is more comfortable with ISIL. I cannot ignore it. That is a fact. They are not doing enough.
I think Turkey's government is supporting ISIS. It is not right for everyone, but that's my opinion.
We asked our experts to clarify the true relationship between Turkey and ISIL.
I think it's fair to say that Turkey has been coordinating very, very closely with Saudi Arabia and Qatar in terms of the support and backing they are offering to ISIL. The Turkish side have dealt with the logistical support and adopting and embracing an open border policy, which have enabled all the radicals and extremists, mainly the Wahhabi Salafi mercenaries who have converged from around the world and enabled the Saudis and the Qataris actually to provide the arming, financing, and even going to as far as in an unprecedented move offering salaries to those extremists who converged on Syria, and then widened the strategy in coordination with Saudi Arabia to allow them to actually go into Iraq in order to destabilize, weaken Iraq, which has been accused of backing up and supporting the Syrian government.
Turkey's flooded the Syrian and Iraqi borders with militants from ISIS, whether advertently or inadvertently. These individuals have come from Europe through the Turkish borders. They pay Turkish border guards a minimal amount of $10 to get through. Now, Turkey has done this in the interest of helping to create and solidify ISIS as a proxy movement within the Middle East to achieve its own aims against the Syrian government, against the Iraqi government, and against some of the Kurdish groups present within the region. Now, Turkey has a very friendly, you could argue, rapport with ISIS. Kobani would be the perfect example, where we saw ISIS militants standing next to Turkish soldiers and military forces on the borderline. Now, for any country which deems itself to be an enemy of ISIS or to be fighting ISIS, this is completely ludicrous, as Turkey has had a policy which has benefited and helped to strengthen ISIS within the region.
Syria says Turkey regularly allows ISIL militants into Kobani. Do the Turkish public trust their government's policies towards ISIL? Here's what they said.
It's sport in the media that there are trucks that are carrying weapons and our government support them. Until now, I did not see that ISIS killed any Turkish people, but they are killing Kurds. It is also a clue to understand it.
I do not see that Turkey's policy is radical to ISIS. Also, I do not think that the Turkish nation will act to the Syrian public in a bad way.
I have no idea. There are some news in media, but I cannot say that Turkey did this. There are many secret different things. We have an example like Gezi Park demonstrations. Because of that, I do not believe. But I believe in beneficial relations.
I agree with Syria. Syria is right. This is a good determination.
ISIS is coming from Europe with America's support. Then they are passing from Turkey to Syria. If Turkey wanted to block ISIS, we should not let them in Turkey.
I don't think Turkey is supporting ISIL literally, because Turkey is a part of the United Nations. I don't think Turkey acts differently than the United Nations.
Policy is multi-directional. We shouldn't look at it from one side. The benefits of the country are on the agenda. I don't have enough information. I believe the media and officials don't have enough information. We comment according to the information that we get. We don't know how accurate it is. I believe the information we get isn't true.
We have to believe our government. I cannot say anything.
I can't imagine that Turkey would be supportive of a terrorist organization. But again, there is various news about sending arms and MIT's trucks issues. It would not be right to talk without all the information. Maybe or maybe not. I can't say anything definite.
Firstly, we should ask America is doing what in there. Syria will be our neighbor forever. Foreigners are coming here and want to be our neighbors, but the Turkish public and Syrians are paying the price. Our brothers in the Middle East are sharing in this.
We asked our experts to consider the extent to which we can trust Turkey's policies towards ISIL.
Well, I do believe that the Turkish support has been offering a lifeline, a crucial, absolutely important lifeline for the militants to actually launch attacks into Kobani. I mean, the Turks did not hide their absolute refusal. They defiantly refused to allow the Turkish fighters from the YPG to actually move from within Turkey, or even volunteers from the Turkish Kurds into Kobani to defend the city against ISIL. And even after the city was liberated, it was attacked recently, and the Kurds are basically saying emphatically that the bulk of the attack came from the Turkish border, which have been, as I said previously, adopting an open border policy to facilitate and enable the ISIS to actually have a lifeline through the Turkish border.
Turkish policy towards ISIS is undermined by the fact that it has its own vision for the Middle East. It views the Middle East as a chessboard to expand its own sultanate within the region, using Islam and using certain Arab causes such as Syria and Palestine to perpetuate this particular policy. Now, Kobani was just literally the tip of the iceberg as to what happened between Turkish interference in the Middle East and the Islamic State's presence, because Turkey has allowed 20,000 foreign fighters to enter Syria for the purpose of destroying and wrecking what was a former ally of the Turkish government. Now, due to this influx and plethora of jihadist groups and individuals who are coming into Syria from Turkey, Turkey is ultimately suffering blowback, where such terrorist movements will conduct terrorist activities in Turkey over its policy towards jihadism and extremist groups within the region. The Syria war will definitely show that Turkey has had a negative policy within the region, and its policy of zero problems with friends and regional neighbours has turned into zero allies within the region.
Analysts say that Turkey benefits from ISIL as they are fighting Kurds and therefore preventing the rise of Kurdish forces. If this is true, would the public be surprised?
It would not be surprising. Such a thing may be true. Generally, Turkey has a Kurdish-opposed policy in the Middle East. Once, former Turkish Prime Minister Bülent Ecevit said that We are against a Kurdish state in the Middle East, even in Africa. I think Turkey is doing something to harm the Kurdish more than its own interests.
Our country has enough sources. How will we benefit from ISIS? Turkey does not need ISIS. Turkey is a big country.
I do not think so. Turkey is negotiating with the Kurds. I do not think Turkey does that to the Kurds.
There are certain policies of governments. They can behave according to their organizations. Turkey could do that because of foreign policy, but basically, I don't think they'll benefit. We have seen years of terrorist organizations being supported by some Europeans who believe there could be something like this. It shouldn't be.
It wouldn't be a surprise. The change of power in the region means that there's weakening in the region. It makes forming a new state easier. Also, Turkey will try to get the most benefit for itself. Nothing will surprise me.
It would not be surprise. Also, I believe that it is true. Probably it is like that.
How surprising would it be if Turkey gains from ISIL's fight with the Kurds? We asked our experts.
Well, definitely. I mean, the Turks have been, that is the Erdogan government, to be absolutely accurate about it, has been embracing and adopting a policy of actually using ISIL and using the extremist group in coordination with Saudi Arabia, mainly, which has been providing the financing and the arming in order to utilize them and use them as a force to counter and weaken the Kurds, because they do really fear that if there is an independent entity created in Syria or in Iraq, that would actually add weight and also add credibility to the demands by its own Kurdish minority to actually go for semi-autonomous or even to try to create an independent Kurdish state within Turkey, and that would be extremely harmful and would destabilize Turkey itself.
Turkey, now in the region, has two significant enemies. The Syrian government is their first enemy, and the Kurdish groups are their second enemy. They were pressured by the international community to allow weapons and supplies into Kobani and other Kurdish areas which were under pressure by ISIS. But it is not in the Turkish interest to see ISIS defeated, as ISIS is ultimately pursuing a cause which is now beneficial to Turkish foreign policy in Syria and in Iraq. Now, the Turkish role in helping to create ISIS through the influx of foreign fighters is very clear. Whilst Ankara claims to fight the Islamic State, its policies on the ground are actually benefiting the Islamic State. So Turkey has had a major role within the region, one which is destructive, damaging. It's ultimately led to the anarchy and chaos in the region, which was caused by ISIS and by Turkish policy towards fellow Arab countries and the Middle East as a whole.
What would Turkey's real objectives be in sending forces into Syria? Here's what the public in Turkey said.
Sınırlarımızı korumak dışında. There would be some benefits besides protecting our borders, but I am not sure. I do not want to comment on it.
Along with the Persian Gulf countries, Turkey is the most supportive country for Syrian opposition. There are more than 1.5 million Syrian refugees in Turkey. Turkey could do an operation to take them back to Syria in a safe way. That could be the main objective for a military to intervene in Syria.
The ruling party is trying to take Turkey into a chaotic situation. They want to show the public that when we were in power, everything was good. How nice our time is. But now you sent us into a coalition. By making the public unhappy, they want Turkish people to need them.
I don't think it would provide an advantage. In the end, Turkey could pay a bill for it in the future, like military action in Cyprus in 1974. It could be part of America's big Middle East project or Arab Spring. It will continue for a long time. Also, the Middle East has had problems for hundreds of years. Evaluating the situation and deciding could be right today, but false tomorrow. Quite frankly, it's beyond me.
The purpose is to protect our borders and remove the threats.
I think it is for precaution.
I know that this is about helping the Turkmens, but I do not know the details.
I support that if it is in interest of Syrians, but we cannot know the reality. The official should think about it. But I want to ask something. Isn't the huge American continent not enough? Why they are in Middle East?
Turkey is occasionally supporting opposition forces because of foreign policy. For example, Turkey wants to take down Assad's government. Maybe Turkey wants to prevent a dangerous organization. I don't know what other countries will say about this issue. These days, the policies of the powerful countries are more important. I don't know. Anything is possible.
We turn to our experts for an analysis of Turkey's true objectives regarding military intervention in Syria.
I do believe it is mainly to expand, extend, and also to consolidate and cement its already increasing influence within the areas of northern Syria and also the areas of northern Iraq. We mustn't forget that ISIL have moved from the areas of northern Syria into also northern Iraq. It posed a critical danger to Erbil. If it wasn't for the support from the Islamic Republic of Iran, which scrambled to support both the Baghdad government and also Erbil, the ISIS terrorists would have been able to seize Erbil and also to seize Baghdad. Both the Iraqi government, central government, and also the Kurdish regional government do acknowledge and confirm that the Iranian support was absolutely crucial and vital in order to enable them first to hold back the advance of ISIS and then push it back.
Turkey ultimately wants to create a buffer zone within Syria to further its interests and to prevent an expansion of the Kurdish groups. Its main cause, however, is to undermine the Syrian government, a policy which it has followed for the previous 5 years. Now what we see is the end game in this. Turkish military forces going into Syria, Turkey creating a buffer zone on the borders, which it claims is for its own security and for humanitarian reasons. But the underlying agenda within this particular policy is to further encroach on Syrian territory and to further undermine the legitimacy and sovereignty of the Syrian state, whilst attempting to destroy or further undermine these Kurdish groups which are fighting ISIS so resiliently, which Ankara has obviously sought negative and a hindrance on its own regional interests.
Analysts believe that Turkey has regularly facilitated the entry of ISIL Takfiri militants into the Kurdish border town of Kobani, where these militants have conducted terrorist attacks. Turkey has also been a key supporter of ISIL. There have even been reports that Ankara has actively trained and armed militants working in Syria. Turkey is playing a dangerous game on its own doorstep, but the consequences could affect the entire world.